Keshan Hall and how Steve Pearl's, incorporated it and is using him.
Um, Last year he played for Central Florida, and we played him the game after. I think he had 44 or 45, something like that, against Arizona State in Tempe. Um, so he's an elite one-on-one player. He's a bucket getter. There's a lot of guys that play one-on-one that they'll wind up taking a bad shot, but because he can score at all three levels. And I do think the fact that he's left-handed helps him too. But his body, his strength, his ability to play, um, transition, you can post him up, put him on the elbow, stick him in the on the wing or down to the corner area. They do a good job with their flex, with stepping, using him as a screener to get open. So um, they've done a good job, a really good job of integrating him into their offense.
Thank you, Chris. We'll go to Joseph Duarte from the Houston Chronicle. Joseph, please go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Kelvin.
Morning, Joseph.
Kelvin, I'm not sure if surprise is the right word, but what were your thoughts when you heard about Bruce transitioning to his son this offseason?
Well, I probably knew it about 3 weeks before. Bruce had called me and we had a discussion. I knew, and he was in the process of making the decision, but when you're deciding that late, you probably kind of know what the answer is going to be. But um, I knew Bruce when he was coaching at, I don't think I knew him when he was at Boston College or Iowa with Dr. Tom. I remember him at Southern Indiana and Milwaukee. Um, Bruce and I have always been friends. He's been great for the game. So everybody's going to have their time. We're if you're a coach, eventually you'll be known as a former coach, and good for Bruce that he went out on his own terms.
Thank you, Joseph. We'll go back to Chris Baldwin, please. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Kelvin. Hollis was saying that he's been seeing Mercy embrace the work more. Have you noticed that with Mercy, and how have you sort of seen him, come along?
Yeah, Mercy was in a tough position last year because he wasn't going to beat any of those guys out. I have to, I see him every day. I don't just see him on game nights. A bunch last year was old and veteran, and they all fit. This year, our we have two guys back, but they're not in the same roles. That's part of our growth this year. Is Emanuel was in the third or fourth seat last year. Now he's in the first or second. Milos has moved up a couple seats, so they're having to adjust their new roles too. Not to mention the three freshmen, but Mercy is making better decisions. He's putting some thought behind his shots. You know, basketball is not a game of great plays. It's a game of eliminating mistakes. And turnovers come from two forms. The worst one is live ball turnovers. But taking a bad shot is also a great way to lead the fast break. Because the worse shot you take, the worse offensive rebounding position you're going to be in. So, it's part of his growth, and he's doing a good job of it.
Thank you, Chris. We'll go back to Joseph Duarte, please. Go ahead, Joseph.
Kelvin, beginning this weekend for the next few weeks, you're going to have a chance to take your team on the road, some non-conference neutral site games. What's the importance, or maybe getting those type of games in here with some of the younger guys that haven't been in that position on the college level?
Well, everybody at some point is going to have to play a road game. Um, I chose this schedule to challenge them. Um, you know, if we lose some of these games, then learn from it. It's not the end of the world. If you win some of these games, you got to learn from those too. Um, so whether it's Auburn Sunday or Syracuse, Tennessee, probably the biggest surprise team I've seen is probably Florida State. How good they're playing, how good they are. Then Arkansas, all those teams, you can lose all those games. If we do, then I hope we learn from them. But playing in these environments are going to be new for freshmen. And I'm anxious to see how they react to all of it.
We'll go to Ryan Monso with GoCougs.com. Go ahead, Ryan.
Kevin, what have you seen from Pedford this year as he's moved into the starting lineup?
Um, Pettiford's at his core, I think he's a scorer. I think at Milos's core, he's a point guard. Kingston is a point guard that can score. Pettiford's a point guard who is a scorer. He's just dangerous because the tougher the shot and the bigger the moment is when you can count on him the most. He's a big shot taker. He's a lot like Emanuel for us. He doesn't mind the moment. The moment is never too big for a kid like him. He thrives on it. And I'm sure that Steve, as the year goes on, is going to get creative on different ways he can use that kid because he's really, really talented, and I give him a lot of credit for coming back to improve himself and help his team. So I think Pedford is one of the tougher matchups in the country.
Thank you, Ryan. We'll go to Chancellor Johnson next, please. Chancellor, please go ahead.
Hi, Kelvin. On the topic of some of the early season challenges, particularly with this young group, how important is Emanuel Sharp's steadiness and his leadership, especially as a guy who's been there before with you throughout these 4 years?
Emmanuel's he's run the gauntlet. Having redshirted, then coming off the bench as a freshman, moving into the starting lineup as a sophomore, establishing himself as a junior, and now going into his senior year, having experienced just about everything that you possibly can experience. The winning, the stages, the moments, big games, big environments. He's seen it all, but I think the one thing about our program is we just, and this is boringly a nothing statement, but I think it describes who we are. Who do we play next? All this nonsense about what is it you call those games? When you got a game that somebody's, in their opinion, thinks that you're worried about this game. You're not worried about this game because of the next game, whatever that's called. That's never been us and never will be us. We focus on what's in front of us, never on what's ahead of us. And Ramon, Emanuel, Milos, JoJo, those guys, I think, embody that.
Thank you, Chancellor. We'll go back to Chris Baldwin, please.
Kelvin, Rossi's talked about trying to incorporate some of the history, of Birmingham with the game. And I know you talk to your team about, history sometimes. When you go to a city like Birmingham, do you bring things up or talk to your group?
No, we just go there to play the game and come home.
And does it, having these games with an organizer, like Rossi, does that, make a difference when you're, doing these kind of, matchups, that kind of thing?
Um, I can just speak for Rossi. I trust Rossi. I think he's classy. I think he's honest. Um, I think he's a terrific, tremendous human being, and I like working with him because he does what he tells me he's going to do.
Thank you, Chris. We'll go back to Joseph Duarte, please. Go ahead, Joseph.
So, and if I could go back to the post game the other
Now,
night,
I would say this though. The only thing I remember we went to Memphis. I took our team to the Civil Rights Museum. I don't remember what year that was. Um, it was the American Athletic Conference tournament. Was that ever in Memphis?
Yes, yes, it was, Coach.
Okay, then that's when we did it. You remember that, Jeff? When we went to the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis. But the one thing I would like to do, I'd like to take our team there, and I certainly, it's another thing on my bucket list, is I'd like to go to the Negro uh, uh, Baseball Hall of Fame or the museum, Negro Baseball. I just love to go because I read about and heard stories about um, Satchel and Josh Bell and um, all the greats that never had a chance to show how great they were to the world. I just like to go and get lost and spend time in Kansas City at the Negro Baseball Museum. That would be something that I'd love to show our team. I'm sorry, though. Go ahead, Joseph.
no, not at all, Coach. That's actually a great experience. I've been to that museum.
I bet
Just
it is.
going back to the post game, and with Ramon, I know in the past you've mentioned how every player on your roster has a role. Uh, for his specific role, doesn't seem like a lot of people would want to do it, but he relishes that toughness and sort of being a guy that goes out there and can do things defensive. What goes into one finding a guy like that wants to look at that type of role and then seeing what he does out there and what he brings for you energy wise?
Um, I don't know if you recruit someone for that specific role. I think everybody kind of evolves into who they are as a player once they get to college. Ramon, freshman year, he was thrust into playing a huge role for us. Um, when we lost Marcus and Tremont to injuries that year, we only had four guards, and he was our fourth, but he played a lot of minutes and had a lot of big moments and contributed. He's fought some injuries, and then we've recruited while he's been here really really good guards, and I wanted to make sure that Ramon knew his value in our program, and so as a coach, you have to think outside the box and know that he's not going to have value if you don't give him a chance to have a role. So I created this role for Ramon, and he and I sat down and talked about but there's going to be games where he may not be needed for that role, and he has to be able to handle that. I don't sit down and say I'm going to play everybody the same amount of minutes every game. I listen to the game. There's no guarantee that whoever played good the last game is going to have those minutes next game because I don't know what that game's going to look like. I'm going to do what I have to do to win the game, If you get an opportunity and go in there with the right attitude, right mindset, then you're going to have a really good chance to succeed. And if that doesn't happen for you, then I expect you to come back to practice with the right attitude, make the right choices regarding your effort that day, and then move on down the road. But that's just the way I look at it.
Thank you, Joseph. We'll go back to Chancellor Johnson, please. Chancellor, go ahead.
Hey, Kelvin, over the next couple of weeks, Kingston is going to be tested with more quicker, athletic, and aggressive defenders. How much does it help him competing against the top defense in the country? And has he shown you throughout practice that gives you the confidence that he can handle, tougher pressure?
Well, he doesn't prepare against the top defensive team in the country. That team's on offense when he has the ball. So that doesn't apply. But it does help him because that other team he practices on, he goes against Cordell a lot, goes against Mercy a lot. Those guys are stronger than him physically, and that helps. But I've been watching Kingston since he's 16 years old. So, we recruit these kids when you guys have no idea that we even recruit them. And then when they get here, you watch them. And of course, you're going to be surprised because you've never seen them. But Kingston's doing about what I thought he'd do. Our biggest decision wasn't how we were going to play Kingston, is how we were going to integrate him with the other guards. But Kingston's greatest strength isn't his skill set, is his confidence. He does. He has a lot of confidence. He's a very confident young man. But of course, he's going to play against bigger, stronger players, and he'll make the adjustment.
Thank you, Chancellor. We'll go back to Chris Baldwin, please. Go ahead, Chris.
Kelvin, how did Chase come out of that fall, and how important were
He's fine.
and how important were those, that run that Isaiah was able to get, coming back from his own knee thing?
Yeah, helps his confidence. Isaiah, went without playing basketball for over 14 months. So, and he didn't do anything this summer. He tried to do some things, but John Houston does a great job of making good decisions on whether those guys go or not. I'm never involved in those discussions because I'm not qualified to. That's John's area. But Isaiah, every experience that he gets, you coach your team, you try to give them to play a certain way. The best teams have an identity. Of course, every team has an identity. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. But how we play here, I have to adjust to them, certainly, but they have to adjust here. But all these guys signed up for this, and they know what they're getting into, and that's why I'm proud of them. The goal for your team this time of year is just keep getting better. You learn from losses as much as you learn from wins, and you guys have heard me say this a million times. I don't overreact much to either one.